Hey there, guys. So I was just looking through YouTube and found a very interesting video on TED. So it was uploaded somewhat 18 years ago, and I don't remember the name of that individual, even though I just saw that a few minutes ago. So it talked about creativity and how the current education system somehow seems to kill it deliberately. And I just wanted to point out a few things, uh, like why do we need creativity? And I mean, obviously, if we didn't have creativity, we wouldn't have all the things in this world. We put literacy a bit higher than creativity. We consider skills to be uh, at the same level right now, uh, but mainly literacy is considered much higher. For example, professors are held at a very high position because of their literacy, and uh, but we don't really give much attention to, for example, artists. So there's some kind of an hierarchy system out there as well. But anyways, uh, like if we didn't have creativity, we didn't have to know how uh, how say Jesus looks like. If the Byzantine artists didn't uh, involve their creative ideas into their field, they wouldn't exactly depict Jesus the way we know him to look like. There's no biblical depiction of Jesus, obviously. So it's uh, it's pure art and it's pure creativity. And why it and somehow religion and theocracy somehow uh, deliberately tries to uh, kill creativity as well. And if you look at certain religions, there are prohibitions uh, in certain fields, uh, like you can't, yes, in certain religions there are prohibitions in art, in music, and and somehow it plays into that. But anyway, what we need to know is whether we can uh, integrate the uh, the development of creativity rather than the sole development of academic skills. Uh, like mm, I'm currently studying physics, and all I do is study the theories in physics and maybe go to the lab and try to work out the experiment which I'm provided. And this this seems to be a lack of creativity. Uh, the main reason being that we don't really look into what we're doing. The machines we're working with, we just try to end what we are given. We just try to complete what we're given, obviously, and that somehow deals a major blow to the the beautiful outcome which it could have. For example, if you have seen Roman architecture before, even their lampposts were artistic. Look at current lampposts. It's just a single pole with the lamp at the top. I mean, it's obviously technologically much more advanced, but we're losing that artistic sense which we used to have. And we somehow seem to think that work, 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 and you know, convenience surpasses everything. That's how we seem to look at things, and that's not entirely how it is. We can integrate art into the way we uh, go about in our daily lives. you know in England, for example, there's this sewage plant or a sewage uh, control, uh, you, you could say uh, a room where you control the sewage system. And the design of that building itself is so beautiful, and it it is currently a museum right now. And the sewage system which you see right now, you know, you go in India, for example, the sewage system, it's bizarre. It's in Calcutta, for example, in Kolkata, the you have this rancid smell you get whenever you pass through this Kolkata Municipal Corporation. You know, these uh, dump fucking place where you just throw the fucking dump, and it smells. It smells horrendous, and you can't pass through them without, just cursing at the municipal bodies. And why is that? Why can't we uh, live the way we should actually be living? Why can't we live in a more happier way rather than living in this so-called technologically convenient world? And I would return to my initial topic, that we have somehow created this uh, sort of stigma against uh, other forms of livelihood. Yeah, it's mainly because of uh, demographic changes and the uh, you could say the downgrading of degrees. Earlier our fathers used to say, if you had a bachelor's degree in science or arts or anything, you literally have a job. And if you didn't have a degree, you don't have a job, or rather, you don't want to have a job. So, right now, I'm doing a bachelor's in science, and obviously, I wouldn't have a job in my core field with just a bachelor's. Hell, I wouldn't even be a teacher anywhere with bare minimum wage. But that's how it somehow gets, and we don't even have, you know, yeah, we have uh, somehow lost the respect for artisans in our country. Look at the kind of uh, uh, the donations or the funding which you need to sustain uh, an artist or yeah, an artistic endeavor. It's very low right now. It's not only in India, all over the world, it's very low. And I'm not exactly talking about art itself. Art is a certain field. You could talk about, you know, dance, song, singing. All of them are fields. And even within art, there is distinction. You somehow hold singers a bit higher than dancers, and you have those with charm and personality a bit higher than those who simply have the skills. So anyway, that's the thing about how the modern world works, and somehow we are endangering the future in this way. For example, uh, right now I'm in my early 20s. I'm 21 right now. So obviously, if I get a job and I'd retire in the next 40 years, that would be 2060 or 2070. And by the time I don't exactly know how technology would advance. Right now the technological advancement is very peculiar. The countries which actually are focusing on it are China, and what they're focusing on are robots. you know uh, and It's very peculiar, the kind of work is going on in the technological field. Uh, mm, um, we have Olympics, robot Olympics in China, so that shows uh, how bizarre we have got into. But anyway, hmm, so yeah, I think we are we're literally destroying a lot of brains out there since childhood, and uh, I think, for example, you look at a lot of mental disorders which we have right now, like ADHD and all of these cognitive uh, mental health problems, which were invented quite late into the late 19th century and the early 20th century, 21st century. Late 20th century and the early 21st century. Uh, so since they are discovered now, we are somehow focusing on these issues, and we are trying to incorporate these. Uh, uh, we are trying to tackle these issues within our education system. But think of those people who are before who were born before these diseases were invented. They were like, we don't have these conditions available in the market, so so it's kind of, they had to go through a lot, for kids in the early 20th century. They uh, just because you can't concentrate, maybe the doctor would give you some pills, some medication, and let you go home and just sleep. uh, just because you can't focus on a certain subject, you might be dyslexic, who knows. But just because the condition wasn't invented at that time frame, you're giving a title of a weird or an idiot, an absolute dumbass, uh, so anyway, look how creativity lacks in architecture right now. The place where I'm living, it's just a freaking cube. you know why am I living in a cube? Why isn't it something much more different? uh, because it's convenient, it's logistically more feasible, economically more feasible, and that's why people tend to do these things. And because it generates a lot of money. Obviously, the building which I'm residing in on right now, it's a residential building. We have got a lot of tenants over here, and I'm one of those tenants. And the first time I entered this room, uh, I did feel nice because it's got a marble flooring, you know, and I like the shine of the marble. You know, it's polished and it looks freaking awesome. But then as you keep on living in the same room again and again, you start to lose it. You start to lose your mind because there's to nothing to do over here. Like I try to put posters over here. Like look at this, Vagabond. I love Vagabond. You know, I love Vagabond. Seriously, I love the story. I love the art. Oh God, don't talk to me about the art. It's awesome. Just go and check out Vagabond if you can. But anyway, there's so many things which you could do to change the way the the people who educate us, you know. And here's the thing, we're not educating our children. We are literally, you know, putting stuff into the minds, and how more you can put into the minds. That's how we consider their their academic, uh, excellence. Academic excellence doesn't imply anything, you know. we need to understand that skill and creativity need to be incorporated in the education system faster. And it's not just industrial skills which I'm talking about. Skills like a lot of things, you know. For example, you know, a teacher, you know, we hold teachers in very high respect, but that's not the only form of profession available out there. There are countless number of professions. Being a teacher is just one form of life. We need to focus on other forms as well. We need to focus on, you know, for example, as I said, a dancer or a potter. You know, we have lost respect entirely for potters nowadays. You know, I haven't seen potters uh, like in quite a while. You know, no one seems to talk about them. No one seems, you know, for example, the media. No one seems to talk about these things. All we seem to talk about are politicians and their absolute shit. You know, and that's the reason why we need a free source. We need to have a certain source which is trustworthy, and we need to fund these sources instead of you know, watching these biased, absolutely cringe fest media outlets. Just because they're out there, it doesn't mean you need to watch them, you know. And it's so fucking irritating whenever I try to open my TV. There's this anchor of Republic TV or Republic Bangla, I don't remember, and it gets me every time. This guy is shouting like a freaking maniac. Yeah, and I don't know why the hell I just get into the news channel every time I open the TV. I mean, is it because of the set-top box? I don't know. Maybe I need to switch to something else. Yeah, but I need the financial. I also need to observe the financial burden of it. Uh, anyway, I have talked a lot about stuff which just came to my mind, and I think my head is gonna explode if I talk too much. Anyway, see you later. Boo.